Hey guys, it's Morgan coming back to you with another weekly Shlog here at Highland Cycles in Western Colorado. A bunch of you guys are probably new because you've been watching our whole video series on the brand new 300XC, which is right over there. So you're probably new, you're probably getting suggested these videos because you've liked those videos or maybe subscribed. But this is what we started this whole channel with, is doing these Shlogs, or I call them shop vlogs, where we fix things and we show you guys cool stuff, tech tips, things like that. So if you're new, if you're seeing this and you're like, wait, how come this isn't about the 300? Make sure you stick with us, at least give us a shot, see if the rest of this is something you might be interested in. We do have a lot of fun, and hopefully you'll learn a lot of stuff. Anyway, if that sounds cool, let's do it. All right, first on the lift is the Beta X trainer that we had yesterday, or the Beta X trainer that we had last week with the broken shift shaft at the weld. A lot of you guys actually commented on our Facebook posts and Instagram posts that you've seen that, you've heard that, or whatever. Yeah, it's not uncommon. Beta actually is really, really good about warranting this kind of stuff. This bike is hammered and has a ton of hours, so I'm not even going to bother with that. Because, well, and I'm not a Beta dealer, but anyway, it's not too terribly expensive anyway to fix it. So we got parts direct from Beta USA. Right here we got a shift shaft complete, a seal, big gasket, and outer clutch cover gasket. So it looks like we are going to need to take the clutch off, get that out of the way so we can get in there and pull that thing through. Shift shaft replacement, guys, is pretty simple, but we'll dive in and show you guys how we do it. Oh, also, if you are here because of the 300XC and you're just giving it a shot, don't worry. We got lots more coming with that thing. But I will tell you right now, it is the best dirt bike I've ever owned right out of the box. It is absolutely incredible. All right, guys, next thing we got to do is bend these tabs out, and I'm leaving the clutch pack in. You'll see why. It makes it so you don't need a clutch like holder tool to get this thing apart. So I need all right, it's got a flat blade screwdriver. We're gonna knock these things out. .27mm socket. And here's how you do it without a tool holder. You leave the clutch pack in, and we're going to push in on the plates. That will effectively hold everything in place. There we go. That was on there with green Loctite, which is the gnarliest Loctite you can buy. And a lock washer, so there's no way that was coming apart, which I guess is good. Seems a little overkill, but now we can take the whole clutch pack out like that, and I like to keep everything together all the way on there, you know, from the bearing, the sleeve, all that together, so that you don't lose it. And you don't forget something on somewhere. So I'm gonna set this out of the way. And then, guys, if you guys can't see, I haven't used this in a while. I keep forgetting, but these are nice. You just get a drip pan from like Napa, and you just set it under there. It's super easy to clean and keep clean. Also, it's nice and brightly colored, so that you don't lose things on it. All right, now we got to take the shift lever off the other side. I'm not going to show you that. It's real simple. Slide her out from this side. Make sure you pay attention here, guys. There's a washer there. I think our new one actually comes with it, but we want to make sure everything goes back together the way it's supposed to. You can see that thing clearly broke on the weld. It's definitely, I would call this manufacturer defect. Just like I said, this thing's got 1,000,000 hours on it. He probably, honestly, just stomped the crap out of the the shifter that caused it. If it'd been someone a little more ginger, not way ginger, but a little more ginger with the shifter, probably would have never had a problem. All right, now there's a seal on that other side. I'm going to pop that thing out too. I'm not going to show you guys. It's just whatever. But we have a new one. I'm going to clean it up really good. I'm going to pop the old one out, clean it really, really well, and then put this in, and we'll slide the new shaft in. All right, guys, put the new one in. We're just going to tap it in with a socket. It's a nice seal, actually. It's the metal on the outside, rubber on the inside. It's a really high quality seal for sure. All right, guys, got a new shift shaft, and yes, it does come with that washer, which is awesome, but it's another reason to pay attention so you don't leave the other one on there. It would have maybe gotten stuck because of the oil, so anyway, make sure you pay attention to that. All right, now got everything else. Put some grease on the end so as it slides through that other seal, it won't cut it. Slide through, and actually, you can see, well, it's hard. Anyway, they did a better job welding this one. They must have had a problem. So it happens. I like to give manufacturers a hard time, but the reality is they all have issues. There we go. Boom. Just like that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the shifter back on real fast and just make sure it shifts into neutral. Make sure there's not anything else wrong before I go and put everything back together. Right on. Woohoo! Got neutral now, which is honestly huge because I'm tired of pushing this thing around with the clutch in. It's such a pain in the butt. All right, so now we're going to slide all this stuff back together, guys. I don't think... Anyway, if there's something super interesting, I'll bring it back in, but installing the clutch is pretty straightforward. And this is no different than any other clutch as far as the way that goes. So I will check back in here in a little bit as we get this thing together, fire it up, and make sure everything's good. All right, so the Beta shifts perfectly. Everything's good. Sorry I didn't take you long on the test ride, but it works great. Just like I thought, it was just that shift shaft weld breaking. I know we could have just welded it, but honestly, whatever. On my bikes, I'd be happy to do that, and if I had a customer specifically say just weld it, I would do it. But honestly, I like to replace things like that just in case, because welding on a weld and all that. Anyway, I know there's guys out there that are very, very good that could do it, and I even know guys that could do it, but I like to replace it. I know that Beta knows that's an issue, so I'm sure that new one is updated and way better. Next thing on my lift is this thing. I'm not going to film it here for the Shlog, but I am going to film first service on this motorcycle. So we're going to be doing oil and all that good stuff. Also going to be taking the cylinder head off and measuring some stuff for Kelsey from RK Tech so we can get a head built for this thing. And then also going through the fuel pump situation and how that works and how this thing picks up fuel and all that, because it's a big, I don't know, it's not a controversy. A lot of people want to know. So anyway, I'm going to put the Shlog camera down, grab the other camera. It's the same camera. And we're going to get after this thing. All right, guys, next on the lift is this 950 Super Enduro. This is actually here last week or the week before. Anyway, for fork seals, we did the fork seals. Found some interesting things in the fork. The previous person who had done the forks was had used crappy bushings because so here's the backstory. This gentleman took the bike to someone. They did the forks. He got it back. It leaked immediately. So he brought it here, took them apart, found some really questionable bushings. They were not old. They were just not very high quality. Anyway, whatever. So I was like, okay. And then I found that they'd used two different types of seal, left to right. And so I was like, well, whatever. It wasn't a great fork seal job, so that's what caused it to leak. He took it home from us and unfortunately found another leak. But fortunately for us, And fortunately for him, the fact that I noticed it, he sent me pictures. It's not the seals that are leaking. There's no residue up here at all, but you can see, there we go. See that? You can see the puddling right there. It's leaking from the connection here to here. So I have seen that before, not a ton. It does happen though. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this thing apart, and we're going to take this fork apart and fix that, and I'll show you guys how to do that. It's kind of a pain in the butt, especially if you don't have all the tools, but we do. So yeah, I'll show you guys how that goes. All right, so we got the leg off. Everything's, you know, over there fine. I got our holder for the fork tube that allows you to pinch it nice and tight without damaging the fork tube. So that's on there. And now, full disclosure, guys, I already figured this out because I was trying to figure out what I was going to use to twist this thing off. I have this breaker bar. I was going to put it in here like this, and I just went like that, and it spun. So this thing is so loose that it's just coming off. It's funny, I did not notice that before. I guess I never really grabbed a hold of it. So kind of feel a little silly for that. But so you can see down in there, there's an O-ring. So what we're gonna do now, guys, is a whole bunch of cleaning. Put this in the ultrasonic, clean the heck out of this. We got new O-rings, and then we're gonna Loctite the crap out of this and tighten it back down. So yeah, let me get this all cleaned up and I'll show you how we go back together. All right, we got it all super cleaned up, nice and shiny in there. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn clean. So we got that clean, got some new O-rings. I got this one that goes here. Beep. Oh boy. There we go. And then this one goes down in here. And there's a recess down in there you got to make sure it gets into. So you don't want it up in the threads while you're screwing this thing on, because it could hang up and get cut. So there you go. Get that down in there. Now I'm going to take some red Loctite. And we cleaned this up, got it nice and dry. It's got a little bit of corrosion on it, but it'll be all right. Put plenty of Loctite on there. Now we're just gonna screw this thing on. There we go. A little more oomph on it. Make sure our vise is nice and tight. There we go. There we go, guys. That should be all we got to do for this. Now that is not something that happens very often. They don't just come loose most of the time. In fact, they're usually really, really hard to get loose. But it does happen on older bikes every now and then. But that should be all we need to do to make sure that that stays nice and tight. Between the O-ring, it being actually tight, I think the real issue was that it was just loose. And again, I don't know how that happened, why it happened. I'm sure that the people before working on it before didn't do it. So it's just life, I guess. Maybe didn't have the right torque on it from the factory. I don't know. But anyway, that'll solve that. We'll put this fork back together and get this guy going. All right, guys, next on the lift is this, I believe it's a 22 300 XTW, and we are doing the Slaven's fuel screw mod. So she brought us the screw that she got from Jeff. There it is. Nice part, really, nice machine part. And we are currently cleaning the throttle body. It was dirty, as you can imagine. They get dirty. It's in the ultrasonic. We're cleaning that up really good before we work on it, and then we're going to show you how we do that. It's pretty simple, guys. I know Jeff's got videos about it, but it's part of the Shlog, part of what we're doing. Also, quick note. So she had the suspension done by Doc down at 812. He's a very, very good suspension guy. And but she was not super happy. She said it was really kind of beating and bouncing and knocking her around, and just felt worse than it did when it was stock. And I was like, that's weird, because he's got a great reputation. He's done really good work. So I told her, since we're doing the screw thing anyway, bring it down and let's check the sag and check all this stuff and make sure it's all good. Sag was right on the money. Clickers were where he said, but I asked, what it was doing and then what she had tried with clickers, and it turns out she had been actually going the opposite direction of what she should have been doing to get the clickers right. So I think we got her dialed in and think should work really good. But the reason I bring that up is not to make fun of her, because it's actually very counterintuitive a lot of times, but to mention that if you guys are interested, you should go to highland-cycles.com and go to the free ebook section and check out my suspension tuning book. I wrote it. It's super simple. It's not really fancy or anything like that, but I think it's pretty good, and it will help explain what you need to do, at least the way to start tuning your clickers to get your bike working better. The other thing is, check out the car. I'll put a card right up here for the video of suspension tuning video that I did recently. I've had a lot of good feedback on that. Guys have been really happy about that too. So anyway, I'm gonna let that thing cook in the ultrasonic, and then we'll pull that thing out and show you how we take care of that. All right, guys, got the throttle body out of the ultrasonic. Gonna finish her off with some brake clean here, and to answer any questions about worrying about the water in the ultrasonic and the problems that it might cause, no, it does not cause any issues. This is part of the throttle position sensor, but this part is really just a magnet. The Hall effect thing, whatever the sensor, is on the bike, and it is not in the water, although I think it could actually handle it too, because it is a dirt bike made to go through water and all kinds of stuff. But what you really want to do is get all of the water out of this thing, because you don't want this thing to be have any water in it when you put it back on, because it will have problems. And there's lots of passages. There's the oil passage. Anyway, so make sure you do a really good job cleaning everything. And you really want to blow through that oil passage if you're gonna use an ultrasonic or something like that, because water gets in there, and if you clog that thing up or mess anything up, you're gonna seize a motorcycle. So blow through that. All right, now we're all nice and clean. All right, guys, so here, this is the screw right in there. So you can get at it from here with an Allen, but it's impossible when it's on the bike. So that's what we're going to take out, and we're going to replace with the thing from Jeff. So what you need to do is you got to heat this up, but you got to be really careful, because this is plastic. You don't want to melt the cam. So let me show you a little trick. First thing is you want to find the right Allen for it. Okay, that's it. I think it's probably a 3. I'm not sure what size that is, but yeah, sizes are all worn off. It's probably a 3, or anyway, whatever. Make sure you get the right Allen that fits in there. So that's nice. Okay, we're good there. And make sure that the Allen, the hole that it goes into, is clean. It goes nice and in tight, because again, you don't want to strip this thing out, and you don't want to melt this cam. Those are the two things that you could do to really botch this. And if you try to turn this right now, it won't turn, because it's Loctited in there with some aggressive stuff. Now, a lot of people are going to go get their blue wrench, like this big thing, and try to heat it up. That is not the best idea. I like to use a little crack torch. I don't know if I'm supposed to call it a crack torch or what it's called, but anyway, it's a crack torch. So I'm going to add some butane to it here. Nice thing about these is that you can get real small with the flame. Like, you can dial it in with this, and you can raise and lower it. Anyway, It's probably hard to see on the camera, but there we go. So nice little flame. And then what you do is you come in to this part of the throttle body. You don't have to let me just show you. You don't have to come in and try to heat right there, because if you heat here, it's going to heat that up. And all you got to do is get that Loctite to where it's breaking loose. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to chalk this up in the vise. All right, so now I've got it chalked up in the soft jaws. It's not tight at all, because you could mess this up. This is not very strong. Interesting. It's from Delorto. So that's a huge upgrade that they did on my new XC, as they used a Kean throttle body. Boom. Instead of a Delorto Italian, anyway, whatever. So, thank you, KTM, but whatever. All right, so now, guys, now that this is chalked up, what I can do is I can heat this outside and just keep pressure on the screw until it starts to move. Let's see if I can get it better. Let's see. All right. And it's going to take a little bit, and it's still going to take some force, and the nice thing about these kind of long Allens is you can kind of put some almost spring tension on them. And don't go crazy, because again, you'll strip that thing out. But you just keep a little tension on it, and you keep the heat in the metal. And eventually that sucker will break loose. There it goes. Like I said, guys, patience is key. There we go. Now it's coming. Take the heat off of it. See, by just heating up out here, everything else stayed fine. Like, this didn't get hot. You can touch it. It's fine. See, just this part is hot, and so I can touch the rest of it. It's all okay. Didn't mess up any other seals, nothing. And that's partially because being precise on where you put this, but then also a lot of it has to do with using a small flame and keeping it right on there and not going crazy with the big torch. So I'm gonna let this thing cool off a little bit, and then we'll install the new screw. All right, that is nice and cool, all good. Get our screw, just put the spring butt up against that. There we go. Yeah, it's just gonna, so it is tight in there. So I think it's because that Loctite left in there. So I'm gonna figure out what thread this is, and I'm gonna run a tap in that thing just to clean it up and make this go a little bit easier. All right, guys, it's a 5 by 0.8 thread on the screw. So I'll just make sure everything lines up. It's all good. Come in here, and it should just be really simple. If it's the right one, and it is, it's just going right in. And all I'm doing is just trying to clean out that Loctite. Like, if you feel any kind of resistance, you gotta stop, because that would be you cutting new threads. But I can see, it's gonna be hard for you guys to see, but I can see down in there that there's Loctite coming out. Let's do one more. That should be good. I am going to take a little bit of this assembly lube and put it on the threads here. And what that's going to do is make sure this thing stays lubed up, because this is it's stainless steel, but it's still steel going into aluminum, and that can corrode over time. And what we don't want to have that do is corrode to where you can't turn it at some point. So the spring is what's going to keep tension on it and keep it from wanting to like walk out. So don't worry about having grease or something on there, because it won't cause any issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it to where it just touches, and then I'm going to go So 1 full turn plus a half. All right, now I'm gonna reinstall this on the bike and we're gonna fire it up and see how it runs. All right, guys, I forgot to mention, last thing you gotta do is get rid of this little piece. This was covering up so you couldn't touch it. So I've just got a die grinder. Cut-off wheel. I'm just gonna make it go away. There we go. That'll fit right on. All right, we got her fired up. Prime the oil pump. That's the other thing you guys got to do. Make sure you prime the oil pump, and to do that, you're just gonna connect these 2 wires. Take this protected plug off. You can Google it. You can take the protected plug off and connect those 2 wires, and the fuel pump will run and the oil pump will run. I got the cold start off. It's kind of racing up, so it doesn't sound too bad, but we can reach right up in here and turn it down. That's nice. There you go, guys. That's it. That's not a big deal. Super easy to do. You just take your time, use the right heat, the right tools, and all that. Yeah, I'm just gonna button this thing back up and get her back on the road. All right, guys, that is the end of the week and the end of the Shlog. Sorry for a little bit shorter Shlog, especially after I asked you if you liked the longer ones and you all resoundingly said yes. I apologize, but I had to miss 2 days of work this week because I was sick, and so that sucked. And then the days that I was here, I wasn't feeling that great, so anyway, whatever. Didn't get a ton of work done myself, but Zach crushed it. He did awesome. He's already out of here for the week. So anyway, I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. If you're new to the channel, like you found us because of the whole 300XC thing, then maybe consider hitting the subscribe button and keep checking us out. We do all kinds of cool stuff for dirt bikes. You can see our vast assortment of things we have to work on here. So if you liked it, give us a thumbs up, maybe consider subscribing, and most importantly, I hope you get out and spread the gospel of 2 wheels, and I desperately hope that what we're doing here at Highland Cycles is inspiring you guys to work on, but more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!